As I sat and listened to some of the speakers before me, it was indeed a reflective moment. And to appreciate that among us, the several recounting that we have had, there is a genuine interest in better understanding a critical part, an event that led to significant transformation of the way of life in St. Kitts and Nevis. And so to the Rastafarian brethren and sistren who have long labored in this vineyard of commemorating this historical event, I want on behalf of the government to say thank you. And to say thank you too to others among us who consistently have seen it necessary, fit and proper to contribute to the development of our beautiful independent country, to helping to anchor us in our history. I want in that regard to salute one of our better known historian, Soprobi Ninis, for his contribution. Could we give him a round of applause? He has been a reliable person and whom we could rely upon for information regarding any of the historical developments, certainly in the context of St. Kitts and Nevis. And it's a pleasure to see him here. I believe as we reflect upon the momentous occasion, critically we would want to think about ideas. Ideas for growth, ideas for development, ideas for the salvation of the nation. And ideas are more powerful than monuments. Ideas are what drive progress everywhere. And if we could think about an idea that led to a riot way back in 1935, one idea, a simple but powerful idea that still lives on. It was that the people, everywhere conscious of their existence, always want better. And the Buckleys Riots were fundamentally about bettering the living conditions of our people. Today that idea is still as relevant as it was 82 years ago. And what we may consider better then, in that dark period, that difficult period after war, may no longer be in the same context the qualitative betterment of which we seek in the 21st century in a modern St. Kitts and Nevis. But that is a powerful idea whose time will always be now for action. I want to commit that the government of St. Kitts and Nevis recognizes and appreciates this historical and important development that transformed the life of everyone in St. Kitts and Nevis, not just workers, that it led to an enhancement of workers' rights, that it led to a recognition that notwithstanding of our difference in terms of class predisposition, everyone was equal. And the idea then was one of equality. All over the world, we are still fighting for equality. The last presidential elections in the USA, that feature, where are blacks relative to others? Why is it in some communities the black man is at war with himself? The black woman is being victimized by the black man. What have we learned from our history? And the most powerful idea perhaps when we connect the dots is the idea that ultimately for our own preservation we need unity. We need unity. And it is biblical as it is natural. For in Psalms 133 we are told how pleasant it is that brethren, and we may add sistren, may dwell together in unity. The Buckleys Riots happened because there was unity of action. There was an acceptance of the power of the idea of betterment that each of us must own. And as workers journeyed from Buckleys, which was at one time one of the largest estates, onto other estates, the idea was what was moving people everywhere to act in unity for their own interests and development. And out of all those agitation we have heard, there came the acceptance. The Moyne Report, which would come thereafter, would accept that all over the Caribbean, the circumstances were difficult. They were harsh. They were unkind. And it was a reflection of an inequity of man to man which needed amelioration. And so I want to say that as we look forward to the future, only the future we can consecrate. We accept that the history is there, and at the end of the day, what messages, what ideas will drive us on as the inheritors of that legacy which we now have. What ideas with respect to unity, what ideas in terms to our pathway to development, what ideas in terms of what anchor our society. And certainly some of the issues that were there in 1932 are with us. Are with us. They are part of our lives even as we make distance to time. We would want to look and to have an appropriate understanding and appreciation, as the Rasta brethren said before me, of what 1932 represents and how we as a nation could best honor that transformative event in the lives of St. Kitts and Nevis and in the lives of people everywhere, because this was a springboard that led to an important study about life and about living in our region. And from there we saw a number of changes. Some of them were legislative, such as the right for people to organize in unions for their own good, and acceptance that workers could themselves come together, that they can stand up as one, and they could make demands upon the system. And importantly, and we hear reflections from the chair and from our brethren from time to time about political power and economic power, where do those two reside? And that is part of the development challenge for us in the region. We are not unique in that regard in St. Kitts and Nevis. But we have to look for the ideas about which we can have unified action and advance our country. I want to salute those who gave the ultimate sacrifice in those riots, and ask that we give a round of applause to those who died in that historic moment, and also those who were injured. And I pledge that this administration would do something. It will be not just for me as the leader to say that though nothing was done, we will come and bring the biggest monument here. We will do that through consultation. To me, more than the monument is the way in which we live our lives, impacted by the idea that ordinary citizens made a great sacrifice and transformed not only St. Kitts and Nevis, but the rest of the Caribbean as a result of the action. And the question then must be, what can each of us do as a citizen and a resident to impact positively upon the lives of all of us in St. Kitts and Nevis and beyond for better? The idea that moved the people, the idea that led people to down their mattresses and to go from estate to estate was an understanding that they deserve better. They wanted it. They were passionate about it. The final remarks I'll make in relation to this is linked to the situation in Jamaica just before emancipation. Jamaica has always been a turbulent country in terms of relationship between people. It's perhaps not surprising that the Maroons were given birth in Jamaica. But coming riots also in Jamaica, a message went off to the government in the United Kingdom to ask for help and intervention on behalf of the people. And the response came, a powerful response. It is to their industry and ingenuity and creativity that the people in the islands must look for their salvation. Ideas are what transform us. And so I want to commend that, not in the same mentality, imperialism, which perhaps may have driven it, but as a recipe for the development of this beautiful country. Each of us must look deep within. Industry, not laziness. Industry, productivity. We must be producing things. That is how we add value to national life and to national development. So we look to industry. We look to creativity. What it is we are creating. Crafts, cars, what it is we are creating. Our own attire. Look to our creativity and our industry and ingenuity, and we find the recipes for our own development. I believe, as harsh as that message may have been in 1830s or thereabout, it is still now a relevant message in the context of every Caribbean island, especially small islands. You can't do it without industry and productivity, and you can't do it without that important element of creativity. Doing things, originating things, things that can contribute value. So again, I want to end in a note of gratitude. This simple ceremony is important and it carries weight. And those who have took time to organize it appreciate its significance in the history of St. Kitts and Nevis, and you must feel proud of yourself and proud of what you're doing. You are heroes in your own way. You are ordinary people doing extraordinary things in helping those now and those to come to better appreciate time as a continuity, legacy, and history, critically important to our ongoing development as a people. So to God be the glory, and I thank all of you for coming out, and even the younger ones who are here, because they must be anchored in that history at a very earlier age, so that their worldview can be shaped and be shaped positively, so that they can contribute to making St. Kitts and Nevis a better place. I want finally to hail Zach Nisbet, because he has been a champion too in preserving our historical artifacts and making a contribution which many have taken for granted, but he appreciates the value of his work. Again, thank you, and may your work continue. And I hope by next year, when we meet again, much more would be done to commemorate and to ensure we memorialize for as long as we can the great landmark event, which was the Buckleys Riot in St. Kitts and Nevis, that became a catalyst for socioeconomic transformation throughout our Caribbean region. I thank you all.